What's going on, you guys, and welcome to another video. I'm going to do something a little bit different for this week's video and answer a subscriber's question. I had someone reach out with a couple of questions and I thought to myself, this would be a great video and I want to address some of his concerns, so let's jump right in. I will make this a simple list. 5'4" male, used to weigh 230. Wait, let's just pause for a second. One thing real quick here. I don't know if a lot of people know this about me, but I'm actually 5'4". For those that don't know me in real life, I'm curious to know what height you thought I was before knowing my true height. Okay, let's go back to the message. Used to weigh 230 pounds, down to 200 now. Want to hit that 180 goal right now. Hybrid athlete is newer to me and exactly what I need as a firefighter and EMT. Okay, so we've got some background on him. Let's keep going. Here's the issue. Number one, feet hurt within the first half mile to mile. Not every run, but 2/3 of the runs I go on. Okay, so let's pause right there. He says that his feet hurt during his run. This could be a multitude of things that could be happening, which are leading to foot pain. It could be something around his plantar fascia that may be getting tight. He could also have a small fracture in one of the many bones within the foot. We would need a little bit more information about where it's hurting in the foot, because then we can start to do some testing. Two things he could do is maybe go see a chiropractor to do some kind of like massage work within the foot to see if it is part of the fascia that's giving him some pain. The second piece could be around getting an x-ray to get a professional photo taken of the bones and just see if there's something that's a hairline fracture or something that's really causing that pain. And that would just be the first step. The other piece to it is around like why this is happening. And a lot of people say, I don't run because it hurts my body, it hurts my knees, it hurts my feet. I hear it all the time. And some of the things that I think about is, what types of shoes are you wearing? What does your form look like? How are you running? Are you going slow or are you going fast? These are all different factors that I would think about when people are having pain when it comes to running. And I think we can all agree that running is the most natural form of movement. And so if someone's having issues doing a natural movement, we have to evaluate all these different factors. We need to look at like, what are we running on? Are we wearing minimalist shoes, or do we have some soles that can protect us from the cement? Is our running form correctly, or are we continuously heel striking into the cement that's giving us a hard response up into the body? And then how are we running? Are we running super hard every time we run? Because that's very hard on the joints as well too. Now in his background, he did say that he is a firefighter and EMT, so this tells me that he's probably on his feet quite a bit. And I'm really curious what type of like preventative work that he would be doing, whether it's like walking backwards with the sled, walking backwards on the treadmill, or even doing stability and balance work every other day to ensure we're handling all of the preventative care as an athlete. But the first step would really to be to understand what the true issue is. Is it within the bones or is it within the fascia or muscles? And then from there, we can then pivot over to looking at how we're running, what types of shoes we're wearing, and the intensity of running that we're doing. All right, let's jump to number two, which is cardio just isn't the best. I can go a mile and try to go very easy pace, but I still just run out of breath. Am I going too far? Am I starting wrong? Okay, so this is a good question. If our bodies are not conditioned to sustain the type of endurance that we're putting on it, then yes, breathing is going to be hard. I'm thinking back to his background here and some of like the numbers that he provided. He's 5'4", 200 pounds, and I almost feel like it would be better to maybe consider doing a walk-jog combo in the beginning stages of building your conditioning. And what I mean by that is, instead of trying to go for a 1 to 2 mile run, maybe let's try to do a 1-minute walk followed by a 1-minute jog, and we repeat that cycle for 10 minutes. That could be something that we test out early to see how we feel. And if it doesn't feel like it's too much strain, maybe the next day we bump up to 16 minutes. We want to keep it even because we'll have that 1-to-1 ratio, and see if we can work our way up to 30 minutes. The reason why I like 30 minutes is because that will give us 15 minutes of actual running. And then from there, we can start to expand the amount of time that we spend in the running and reduce the time that we do in the walking. And what I mean by that is we could then start to get to a place where we're doing 30 seconds walk, 1 minute run, 30 seconds walk, 90-second run, and slowly start adding to the running while having a governor in place that allows us to back off and just kind of see how we feel. But to answer your questions, am I going too far? I think this is really around a mindset shift. Let's not think about going far. Let's focus on duration versus distance, that time aspect of everything. The second question he asked is, am I starting wrong? I wouldn't say that you're starting wrong. This is all part of the educational process, and like the reason why I have this channel and did the app is because a lot of these basic things people do not know, and people like to focus just on like the super shiny sexy stuff like sprinting and power hills and stuff like that. But we need to get to these basics, and we need to master the basics so then we can do the sexy stuff. So to answer your question, in my opinion, I don't think you're starting wrong. We're just learning. And the fact that you're asking the questions around like, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is how I'm feeling, what are your thoughts, tells me that you're someone that's gonna get this done and master it over time. Okay, let's go to number 3 here, which is, and be honest, can your app help? My goal is to do a 5K race and work up to a marathon. I see tons of YouTube videos on how to become a hybrid athlete, but not coming from overweight. Usually someone in reasonable shape that just wants a change. I should mention new shoes have helped with the feet hurting, but it still likes to show up and remind me. Maybe it's just the wrong weight. Maybe I'm running wrong. Maybe shoes, question mark. I don't know. Okay, so let's go to his first question. Can your app help? 100%. When I built the app, I wanted to think about a roadmap. And this really goes back to what I was just talking about with the journey. In the app, I have a 1-mile program that is a specific use case for these scenarios, because I feel like the people that are already working out and like getting the cool stuff done, it's really around creating a framework. And that's why like within each program, there's level 1, 2, and 3, right? Like if I'm running a 5K and this guy's running a 5K, we're probably not going to be training in the same program. And that's okay. When I put together the conditioning programs, I was like, okay, I need to help the person that's just trying to run their first mile and develop a roadmap that can really show them, okay, in 8 weeks, we're going to run our first mile. From there, we can jump into a 12-week 5K program. And then if we want to stick into another 5K program, but level it up, we go from level 1 to level 2, or they can bump up to the 10K level 1 and just continuously be evolving as a runner. I always recommend taking like at least a week or 2 off in between programs. But if we zoom out and think about like the whole ecosystem, it goes from a 1-mile program all the way up to a full marathon program. That's just the conditioning piece of everything. That doesn't include anything with the strength programs or any of like the obstacle course racing or high rocks programs. But I want to dig into this third one here. I really like what he asked here, because these are the real questions, right? My goal is to do a 5K race and work up to a marathon. I think that's awesome. I really love the fact that someone already has this vision in their head, given the scenario that they're in, right? They know the challenges that they're facing. And I really like what he brought up here. He goes, I see tons of YouTube videos on how to become a hybrid athlete, but not coming from overweight. I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to show his handle. I can tell you this. I was a bigger guy a very long time ago. I was an alcoholic. I was a drug addict. I've been there. I know what it feels like. I remember the day when things started to click for me. I can tell you right now, it wasn't one day that I just decided to go sober. It was a long journey of years of like little moments that added up where it finally came to a point where I was like, I need to cut this out of my life. There's one incident that I can remember like the back of my hand. I'm not going to go into the details of what happened that morning, but what I can tell you is that I woke up very hungover one time on a Sunday morning, and to me at that time it was a very normal thing. I told myself I'm gonna take a shower. I was living in Chicago at that time. I was close to Wrigley Field, and I told myself I'm gonna go outside and go for a run on Lakeshore Drive. I remember putting on my gym shoes at the time. I didn't know anything about running. I lived right next to the lake. I am 5'4". I was 170 pounds at that time, and I barely made it 10 minutes. I remember sitting on the grass along the trail and just sitting there watching all these beautiful people running outside. It was Sunday morning. It was sunny. It was summertime in Chicago. Everybody was super happy. And I just remember that feeling of being hopeless. I know what it feels like to be overweight. It's something that is very endearing to me, and definitely one of my anchors that, you know, is a fuel to help me push and continue to evolve, not just as a content creator, but as a business person and a trainer and an athlete for myself, because I know what it's like to be on the other side. And I feel like that's one of the things that makes me a little bit different than the other people, is that I wasn't a collegiate athlete. I wasn't a track guy, and I didn't start running until my mid-20s, and I sucked at the beginning. But I can tell you that the things that you're going through right now are normal, because you're doing something that you haven't done before, and your body is responding to that, and that's okay. What I can tell you is that by learning more about running efficiency, shoes, how to train, these are the things that are going to make you better if you stick with it. So let's go back to some of the things he said to go. I see a ton of YouTube videos on how to become a hybrid athlete, but not coming from overweight. Just covered that. Usually someone in reasonable shape that just wants a change. Right. This is the aspect around like people that are posting that stuff. And this is not a knock on any of the other people posting it on there. It's easy to be flexing the muscles if you have the genetics, or if you've been an athlete your entire life. That's great, right? And you're putting out positive content. That's awesome. I should mention new shoes have helped with the feet hurting. That's great. That's one of the things that we talked about earlier, but it still likes to show up and remind me. I can tell you, let's slow down. Let's maybe try that 1 minute walk, 1 minute jog. Start with 10 minutes, maybe try to build up to 30 minutes over the course of a month, right? dial it up. If things act up, we dial it back down. Pain is not a good thing. And then he finishes it off with saying, maybe it is just the weight, maybe I am running wrong, maybe the shoes. This is a topic that I want to make sure that I'm empathetic as I address it. One of the realities is that the more that we weigh, the more it does hit our joints. I think we can all agree with that. That's not to say that what you weigh is wrong. You're on this path. You've already lost 30 pounds and you're going to 180. This is a great goal for you. And I can tell you that as you become more efficient as a runner and have the right programming, things will start to get better. And you're kind of like in the shit right now. You're like in the hurt piece of it. And that's okay, right? Like, let's slow things down. Let's think about our programming. He says, maybe I'm running wrong. Without seeing a video of like what you run like, it's really hard for me to respond to that because I don't know how you're running. But what I can tell you is that a lot of the running stores out there, they typically have treadmills with cameras that will see how you're running, or just find a place that has that setup. It will be the best 1 hour that you spend. And if it does cost some money, I think this would be a really good thing to see, just like what your running efficiency looks like. And then the last question he mentioned was maybe the wrong shoes. We don't know. But the cool thing is if you do go to that running store and they look at your running form, they could also recommend the right shoes that are specific to you given the way that you run. So first I want to say thank you to this individual. I know that it takes a lot to really open up around what we're going through and talk about our weight and some of the issues that we're dealing with. But I really appreciate when someone is putting themselves out there. They're allowing themselves to think about where they want to be and being open to outside coaching to help them get there. I feel like that's one of the powerful things around technology. I don't know where this person lives. I've never met this person in real life, but I do feel some kind of connection because I know what it feels like to be overweight and not be able to do what you want to do. So to this individual, thank you. I really appreciate it. And for those that are watching this video, feel free to send any questions my way. I've started to gather some questions that I'm getting on like my DMs with Instagram, and I was thinking about doing like a full Q&A and just waiting for the list to get to a good place. So it was a video where I can look at what people are really asking about and start to pick the top questions and relay them, because if people are asking the questions, then I know there's probably a ton more that are thinking about it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.